Welcome back to the deep dive. Okay, so today we are definitely turning down the lights, maybe thinking about a candle, carefully monitored, of course. We're diving headfirst into Halloween. And look, we're not just here for the haunted houses or why those fun-sized candy bars are. Well, never quite enough, are they?
Never, definitely not.
We're actually looking at this whole night, this huge cultural thing, as a kind of psychological ritual. It's like this collective experiment we do every year.
Yeah.
And it tells us some really profound, sometimes kind of unsettling things about how we process fear and meaning and chaos, really.
Absolutely. It's all in there.
So our mission, our goal for this deep dive is to unpack the research and figure out the psychology behind why we choose to get scared. Why pay money for a jump scare?
Right.
And how does this really ancient holiday connect to these deep human needs, like expressing emotions, belonging to a group?
It's fascinating how deep those connections go.
Yeah. And the big idea, the thing that kept coming up again and again in the sources, was this. We actually chase fear. We want that rush. But, and this is the key bit, only when we feel like we're in control.
That control part is absolutely everything.
Yeah.
It's the pivot, really, for this whole conversation. The sources are basically arguing that under all the commercial stuff we see now.
Yeah, the plastic spiders and everything.
Exactly. Beneath all that, there's this necessary biological, psychological truth happening. It's not just fun and games. It's like this vital release valve for us.
The release valve. I like that.
And it's been operating for, well, millennia.
Okay, so if we want to understand how this valve works, we got to go back, right? Way back, before trick-or-treating was even a thing. Where did this instinct to embrace the darkness come from?
It really starts thousands of years ago with the Celtic festival of Samhain, Samhain.
That's right.
And fundamentally, it was about time, marking time. It signaled the end of the harvest, the end of the, the light part of the year.
Right.
And the beginning of the darkness. Winter. So psychologically, it was this boundary line between life and death, really.
Wow. Heavy stuff.
Definitely. And the core belief, the thing that drove the rituals, was that on this specific night, the veil between worlds, it got super thin.
The veil between worlds, like our world and the spirit world.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It allowed spirits, ancestors, various otherworldly beings to walk among the living. So the night wasn't just like a little spooky. It was genuinely seen as dangerous, liminal.
Okay, so the stakes were incredibly high then. If you made it through the harvest, you still had this night where, I don't know, great-great-grandma's ghost might show up.
Pretty much, yeah. That was the underlying anxiety. And this is where those really rituals come in. People lit these huge bonfires.
For warmth or light.
Less for warmth, more as like ritual barriers, protection. They'd leave food out for the spirits too, trying to appease them, guide them away maybe.
Okay.
But the really key thing, they started wearing masks, disguises.
Right, the masks.
Yeah.
But the sources stress that the original reason wasn't playful, was it?
Not at all, no. These disguises were purely utilitarian. They weren't putting on a mask to become something else for fun. They wore them so they wouldn't be recognized by the dead roaming about. It was like, camouflage.
Just trying to blend in, like another ghost.
Exactly. Just another specter in the night, don't mind me.
That's that difference, survival versus play. It's actually kind of chilling when you think about it.
It really is, and it points to this deep psychological truth, doesn't it? When we face something huge, terrifying, something we don't understand, whether it's death or winter or just the big unknown,
Yeah.
our first instinct is adapt, survive. So we hide. We disguise ourselves. We make it through. And the sources suggest that even today, putting on a rubber monster mask, you're still echoing that ancient primal need.
Wow.
Just trying to camouflage yourself against a world that feels chaotic or overwhelming.
So it grounds the modern fun in this really deep biological drive. We're still hiding, but maybe the chaos looks different now.
Exactly. The threat has shifted, but the mechanism, maybe not so much.
Okay, let's unpack that shift then. From necessity, from survival to, well, pleasure. If the mask started as camouflage, how do we get to the point where we willingly seek out fear? Why are haunted houses fun now, not just terrifying?
Right. This brings us squarely to this idea of controlled fear. That's the term the research uses a lot.
Controlled fear. Okay.
It's basically activating your body's full-on fight or flight system. The adrenaline surges, heart pounds, all that.
The classic fear response.
Exactly. But, and this is the crucial bit, it's happening inside what the sources call a safe container.
A safe container, like
a movie theater. Or a roller coaster seat with a harness. Or, yeah, a haunted house where you know deep down the actors can't actually hurt you. There are exits.
You probably signed a waiver.
You probably signed a waiver. Exactly. So you choose the fear. And that choice, that control, transforms the anxiety into something else. Excitement. Exhilaration.
So you're getting all the biological fireworks of danger.
Totally.
But the thinking part of your brain, the prefrontal cortex, is like constantly sending little messages saying, it's cool, we're safe, this isn't real.
That's precisely it. Your rational brain is the traffic cop, telling the amygdala, the fear center, okay, you can freak out a little, but stand down, it's not real danger.
So like a jump scare happens, amygdala goes nuts first.
Yep, fires instantly, dumps adrenaline, cortisol, your body's primed. Run, fight.
But then,
like milliseconds later, the prefrontal cortex catches up, it processes the context. Hey, I paid $20 for this, that clown. Actor, exit sign, right there.
ah, okay.
And because that perceived threat just vanishes, poof, your brain gets this flood of dopamine.
The reward chemical.
The reward chemical. It's like a little pat on the back for surviving the stress. It creates this feeling of mastery, low stakes mastery over chaos. You face the scary thing and you won.
Okay, that chemical part is staggering, actually. What's that cocktail really doing? Adrenaline and dopamine.
Yeah, we need to dig into that chemical balance a bit.
Yeah.
The dopamine hits as the reward after the adrenaline rush. But here's the really mind-blowing parallel the sources point out.
Go on.
These are the exact same chemicals, adrenaline and dopamine, that drive other intense experiences, like falling in love, or strong attraction, or even taking calculated risks, like in business or sport.
Wait, hold on. The same chemicals. How can that be? Love feels, well, nothing like being chased by a fake chainsaw. How do the sources explain that? Isn't the context king?
The context is absolutely king. It's all about the cognitive appraisal. That's the fancy term for the meaning your brain assigns to that chemical surge. So, with attraction, your brain interprets that jittery, high alert state as potential gain connection. With controlled fear, it interprets the same physical state as a safe challenge overcome.
Ah, I see. So the feeling starts similarly, but the brain labels it differently based on the situation.
Exactly. The sources suggest we might be evolutionarily wired to seek out things that trigger these systems because historically they were tied to survival. Finding a mate, escaping danger, both needed that adrenaline dopamine kick.
So chemically, fear and desire are related, like siblings.
You could say that,
Yeah.
yeah. Siblings competing for how your brain interprets the feeling, that jolt you get from a jump scare. Your body's feeling the same fundamental aliveness as when you feel intense attraction.
That's really profound. The same stuff that makes me fall in love makes me group the cinema seat.
Wow.
So Halloween is like a safe playground for chasing that intensity.
A perfect way to put it. A safe playground for intensity.
Okay, this is where it gets like really interesting for me. Moving from the body's chemistry to the deeper mind stuff. Let's talk psychology, specifically that Jungian angle the sources brought up. Carl Jung. How does putting on a mask actually help us psychologically? What need does it fill?
Yeah, Jung gives us such a useful language for this. He talked about the persona. That's the mask we wear every single day, right?
The face we show the world.
Exactly. It's a socially acceptable version of ourselves. For work, for polite company, whatever. But then there's the shadow.
Shadow. Sounds ominous.
It holds everything we push down. The parts of ourselves we think are unacceptable. Maybe it's raw power, anger, ambition, dark fantasies, rebellion. Things that, everyday life tells us to keep quiet.
And modern life really amps up the pressure to stick to the persona. Right? Be professional, be nice, stay in line.
Totally. So Halloween, from this Jungian view, is basically this collective, socially sanctioned night where the shadow gets invited out.
Like a permission slip?
Exactly. A permission slip. We put on masks, costumes, not just to scare others, but to let those repressed parts of us have a voice, even just for a night.
So if you spend all year being, I don't know, super agreeable and quiet.
Maybe you dress as a powerful witch or a roaring monster or something fiercely independent. It's a release for that energy. If you feel hemmed in by rules, dressing as some kind of chaotic trickster lets that anarchy breathe a little.
And what kind of modern costumes tap into this? Is it just monsters and villains?
The sources say it's broader than that. Any costume that lets you step way outside your usual persona is tapping into the shadow. It could be about expressing overt sexuality that you normally wouldn't, or flaunting pretend wealth, or embodying political defiance, or just raw, unapologetic power.
Things we're often told to dial down.
Precisely. Things society often asks us to suppress for the sake of order. And Jung argued this is actually really healthy. He called it integration.
Integration.
Yeah. By consciously or even unconsciously engaging with those darker, messier, repressed parts of ourselves, we integrate them, we face the shadow, and that ultimately makes us more whole psychologically. Halloween becomes this big collective container for doing that work once a year.
That makes so much sense. It explains that weird feeling of relief afterwards. After a night of embracing the spooky, the weird, the over-the-top, there's this collective exhale.
Uh-huh.
Like, okay, we acknowledge the weirdness inside, now we can go back to being normal.
Okay.
It really is like annual shadow work for everyone.
That's a great way to frame it, collective shadow work.
Okay, let's shift focus just a bit. Social dynamics. If I'm doing my own little shadow work, putting on a costume, how does that connect to the group? Why do we watch horror movies together? Or tell ghost stories around a campfire, historically?
Because here's the paradox. What scares us often unites us.
Scares us, unites us. How does that work?
Think about sitting in a dark theater. Everyone jumps at the same moment. Your nervous systems are kind of cinching up because of this shared, safe threat. And when that happens, your brain releases oxytocin.
Oxytocin. That's the bonding hormone, right? Trust, connection.
Exactly. Shared, intense emotion, even if it's negative, like fear, builds social bonds. It's probably why ancient communities told scary stories around the fire. It reinforces group identity, trust. We face the scary thing together.
We survived the movie together.
Right. You trust the people you navigated that feeling with. But there's an even deeper theme running under all this, and it's mortality. Death.
Yeah, you can't really escape that with Halloween.
At its core, historically and even now, Halloween is a night where we kind of collectively look death in the eye and maybe even laugh a little.
I mean, look at the decorations. Skeletons, ghosts, graveyards on the lawn.
It's super morbid.
Totally morbid. But we mix it with candy, parties, laughter.
So what are we doing there psychologically? The sources suggest we're domesticating mortality. We're taking the ultimate unknown, the thing that causes so much deep anxiety death, and we're making it familiar, playful.
By putting a party hat on a plastic skeleton?
Kind of, yeah. By taking those symbols, the skull, the ghost, the tombstone, and making them colorful, absurd, even cute sometimes, they lose some of their existential dread. We bring the imagery of death right onto our porches, into our homes, and it stops being this terrifying, untouchable other.
So it's like the Western way of making peace with the inevitable.
It seems to be a major ritual for that, yes. Every healthy culture needs ways to process death, and Halloween appears to be one of our primary symbolic tools for it.
Like a kid playing with a toy spider until it's not scary anymore. The psychological benefit must be huge then.
Oh, absolutely. The research stresses that when you confront death symbolically, even playfully, it actually allows you to live more fully. Facing those deep fears, even with silly props, it clears space. Space for gratitude, for courage, for appreciating life now.
Okay, let's pull all this into right now. We live in a time that's obsessed with safety, comfort, predictability. We try to eliminate risk everywhere.
Bubble wrap everything.
Exactly. Yet we seem to be chasing controlled fear more than ever. True crime obsession, extreme sports, thrill rides, and yeah, Halloween keeps getting bigger. What does that craving for fear tell us about us right now?
Well, connecting the dots, the sources suggest something really profound. Maybe fear, controlled fear, has become one of the last frontiers of feeling truly alive in an age that's trying so hard to be safe and predictable.
Wow. The last frontier of aliveness.
Yeah. When everything else feels managed, digitized, maybe a bit numb, the need to feel something raw, something primal gets stronger. Halloween lets us tap back into that high-stakes feeling, heart-racing, uncertain outcome, facing the unknown.
But crucially, without the actual danger.
Without the actual danger, that's the key. It's a return to the primal pulse, but within that safe container.
So we're basically reclaiming our right to feel the intense stuff, even the dark stuff, because feeling that reminds us we're human.
Exactly. It confirms that all our emotions, even the ones we label negative or dark, are actually sacred. They're vital parts of being fully human. If we suppress the need for thrill, for confronting the unknown, maybe we start to feel less alive overall.
This has been, a real deep dive. So the big takeaway for you listening, it seems, is that Halloween isn't just about monsters or candy corn, thankfully.
Right.
And it's not even just about remembering the dead, though that's part of its history. It's really about integration. Facing the hidden parts of ourselves, embracing the whole spectrum of who we are, and maybe bonding with others over that shared, safe thrill.
And maybe the final thought, building on that, is The ritual is really about finding a strange kind of beauty in what scares us, because maybe it's only by safely dipping into our own darkness and the world's darkness that we can really appreciate the light. It's about becoming whole.
So as the masks come out and the air gets colder, remember you're not just celebrating fear, you're learning how to dance with it.
Yeah. And that dance is pretty vital.